कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि.
Sadhguru, you meet a lot of interesting people. Who is the most self-aware or the most enlightened human being you've met?
A lot of people around me.
Name some and why?
Oh, usually they are not famous names. The simple people.
Avoiding my question.
No, I'm not.
There must be some
See,
people we know.
the most
who you find
fantastic
most
human beings on the planet are usually not well known. Because getting known in the world is a different business. Being wonderful within you is a different business. I'm doing everything possible to marry these two.
What do you think about the state of the nation?
See, we must understand that as ancient we are as a nation, the idea of a modern nation has not really sunk into everybody's minds. I believe the way you have named your new venture, in some way, you want the idea to sink in to people's minds, because a nation is not some God-given thing. It is something that exists in people's minds and hearts. It's just an idea that we enshrine in pursuit of common well-being. But it goes somewhere altogether. Over a period of time, people start thinking it is the thing. That's not how it is, but it is the thing, it's an important aspect. Because nation is the largest segment of humanity that you can address right now. If you could address the entire humanity, it would be fantastic. But that's not possible, that's not realistic right now. That may be the ideal, but that's not realistic. So right now, nation is the largest segment of humanity you can address. India as a nation is a world by itself. So though we have a history of what we call as Bharat or Hindustan, which goes back to 10,000–12,000 years of history, though within this geography we had at certain times over 200 political entities, still we were considered a nation, both by people within and those outside also considered this nation, though there were different kings ruling all over the place. Why this happened is a unique thing. Most nations or all nations are made on the sameness of something. Sameness of language, sameness of race, sameness of religion, some sameness is important. We have defied that completely. We have never tried to be same in any sense. If you drive 50 kilometers anywhere in the country, every 50 kilometers you meet different kind of people. They look different, talk different, dress different, eat different, everything is different about them. But still we have been a nation for over 10,000 years without maintaining the sameness. I think it's an extremely unique and fantastic happening which we must culture, nurture and preserve. What is it that kept us together? Why people outside called us a nation, though we were ruled by different entities all the time? Fundamental thing which made us one nation is that every nation in the world believed in something. We as a nation never believed in anything. We have always been a nation of seekers, seekers of truth, seekers of liberation. Today's in today's generation, this might have gone out of the present lingo, but it's coming back in some other way. In previous generation, if you spoke, in a day, my grandmother wouldn't end a conversation without at least once uttering the word mukti or moksha. It was like day-to-day thing. It's not like at the end of your life you're thinking mukti, or when you go to your spiritual discourse you're thinking mukti. No, in day-to-day life, in conversations, every day mukti, mukti. Maybe that is why today people are shouting azadi, azadi. Maybe it's coming back in another way but…
You've heard of the ongoing discussion on freedom of expression, and I personally felt pretty outraged last year when a group of people started to make it fashionable to speak against the nation. We saw the limits of the debate on freedom of expression last year. Sadhguru, my question to you is in the context of what is happening today. We've seen a little bit of that happen once again on the North Campus of Delhi University. In your view, why is it becoming fashionable for some people to run down the nation and then use that as an example of the freedom of expression? I find that hypocrisy. What do you think?
Everybody is very freely quoting the Constitution. It is the Constitution of India which gives you the freedom of speech. You must stress on the word India. It is the Constitution of India, it is not some divine constitution which has given you this freedom. It is the Constitution of India which has given you this freedom. The moment you question that, then you have questioned the fundamentals of the making of a nation. See, religions have their own constitution. The only problem with this constitution is it's not amendable. A nation has a constitution, but if all of us don't like it, we can amend it. It's not given by somebody, we made it, we agreed to it, it's an agreement. Our constitution is an agreement among us. So when the freedom of speech was given, they put 8 restrictions. The Indian constitution puts 8 restrictions on freedom of speech. One fundamental restriction is, it should not question the sovereignty of the nation. The moment you question it, you're questioning the existence of the nation. Where does the constitution give you freedom? It doesn't make sense. So, these things are coming from a certain background. I'm telling you, I went through this when I was 13, 14. By the time I was 15, I was ready to pick up the gun. Because they have fiery talks every day, you know. Very insightful, I mean, not insightful, very inciting kind of talks. So fired up that you want to do something. And when you're young, you always think, violence is the solution. Those people who are talking about peace, they don't believe in it, they believe in violence. The moment you talk about breaking up something, there is going to be violence, whether you like it or you don't like it. If you don't have to go that back far in history, if you just go back to 1948, when the country was broken, because we didn't have the courage to fix it, we broke it, we're still bleeding. 500,000 people died, endless amount of suffering people went through, and still there are colonies both here in this country and that country which are still not sorted out. Yes? Still, even properties are not settled 70 years. How long do you think is human lifespan? Are we going to live for 1,000 years, that we're going to settle our problems over 70, 100 years? Still, both the nations are bleeding. When I say bleeding, don't think only of the human blood. What is the kind of investment we are making in our armed forces? Only because we broke this country, isn't it? Otherwise, everything could have been focused on the well-being of the people. I'm not commenting on this. Just recently when I was just reading the newspapers, I saw $28 billion for a missile defense system from Russia we're buying. We are buying much more. But I'm just saying, $28 billion, when I think about it, we could educate every child in the country, we could nourish every child in the country, we could do so much work. We could make sure people in this country live well, but we cannot do that right now, simply because we broke the nation. So if you talk about breaking it further, this will go on for centuries, because breaking will never be clean breaking, it'll not happen like that. When you break, somebody will be this side, somebody will be that side, so much human suffering, resentment, hatred, which you cannot solve. This line that was drawn just 60, 70 years ago, can you believe it is only 60 years? The level of hatred we have for each other. You can't cure this, isn't it? So, breaking is never a solution. It's better to sort it out. Whichever way it comes, better to sort it out. For that we have a framework which is called the Constitution. Constitution, I'm repeating this, is not a divine document. It is an agreement between you and me, so that in every step that we take, we don't collide with each other.
Yeah.
This is the law that we will follow, that's all.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm so glad that you have made your position so abundantly clear on this subject, because I don't know why people are conflicted, Sadhguru. Some people say they are conflicted even over issues such as whether you need to stand up for the national anthem. We had the
No, that's because in the theatres, in one hand they have popcorn, in the other hand they have Coca-Cola. They cannot stand up, you must consider these things.
No, but there was that absurd debate last year, and I know many people here would know about it. It became fashionable last year to say, assert my right to rebel, and my rebellion is that I will not stand up for the national anthem. And I'm saying this openly, Sadhguru, I'm a part of the media too, that I found the pseudo-liberal media in this country advocating that as an example of the freedom of expression. And forgive me my directness on this, I never felt people in my fraternity were more wrong.
See, what we need to understand is, we are picking up bits and pieces from developed nations and trying to implant it into our country.
Well said, well said.
When…
said.
When 50% of the population has not even eaten properly, you can't be debating nuances of democracy. It's just stupid. You go to United States of America, in every sports event, okay, in a baseball match, national anthem is played, everybody will stand up like this, okay, with their hand on their heart. Well, you're discussing some kind of French Revolution, all right, but you don't have River Seine flowing, nor do you have Paris around you. You have slums around you, you have a stinking Yamuna flowing. You shouldn't be talking the same language. And half the people have not eaten properly. Just take a walk. Just take a walk in one of the villages. You will see 60% of the population, their skeletal system has not grown to full size. We are busy producing underdeveloped human beings. Substandard human beings you're producing, and you're talking about a great nation and fanciful ideas. This is not the time. When everybody is well-fed, when things are taken care of, then maybe you can talk about certain things. This is not the time.
I don't agree with you, Sadhguru. I don't think great nations are built out of economic well-being. But that's my simple point of polite disagreement with you.
I'm not saying economic well-being. Eating what I need to eat to sustain this body is not economic well-being, it is a fundamental right. Whether there is a nation or no nation, not just for a human being, not just for a human being, for every worm, insect, animal, bird, the basic sustenance necessary for their survival is the right of that creature, isn't it? So this is not about economic well-being, this is a must for every life. Every worm, insect, bird, animal, tree must get the fundamental nourishment. Of course, we are included as one of the creatures.
No, I meant it in your linking the talk of a great nation to whether we have everything that we need. I think we still can be, even if we don't. Sadhguru, with again polite disagreement with you, what happened in Bangladesh after the famine also saw the rise of the greatest form of nationalism in Bangladesh. So, history teaches us different lessons at different points of time. I don't want to argue with you on this. We'll go aside and have an argument after. My point to you, which provokes me to take this discussion further, Sadhguru. Why have we become, have we insulated ourselves? The better we do, the more we want to cut ourselves off from our own country and our surroundings. And I agree with your previous point. In 1997, Sadhguru, I was in NDTV, there was a story which came out, a reporter called Sampath Mahapatra called me. And he said that there is a story I want to go and report. And we needed approval from the headquarters to send the reporter down there. Sampath went there and he said there's a village where people are dying. We sent him there. When he went there, he said that there was an entire village which was dying. And the reason for that was horrifying. There was complete starvation in that village. There was a drought, there was no health facilities, there was not a grain of rice. So the people of this area, which is the KBK, Kalahandi, Bolangir, Koraput belt in Orissa, started taking the seeds of mangoes, putting it into muddy water and making a soup of it. That, because it was so hot, started becoming rotten. And so it was a rotten mango gruel that was prepared. And because they were so hungry, and no mother can see her child starve, they were poisoning themselves to death because they were so hungry they had to eat something. In my life, I remember at that time as a reporter, I stood outside gate number 1 of Parliament. I was so angry, and I confronted the then food minister, who said to me that इस बड़े देश में 20-30 लोग मर जाते हैं, आप बात का बतंगड़ बना देते हैं. And I was shocked and horrified, Sadhguru. Till this date, I feel, and people say to me, why do you scream so much? I say, because in this country, you don't yell, you don't scream, nobody gives a damn. I still do believe that in this country. We believe in that chalta hai attitude because we think everything's okay with us, why should we care about the rest of the world? We're growing, but the chasm in our country is also growing. Between the rich and the poor, between the haves and the have-nots, between those who have everything and those who don't have any shelter. And yet we feel happy enough to cut ourselves off from it. Is it true that we spend a large amount of our time cutting ourselves off from our own country? Is this not one of the greatest problems of India today? That we, the privileged sections of India, have cut ourselves off from the rest of India. And is there a solution for it?
See, the question is not about the disconnect between the well-to-do and the not-so-well-to-do or the impoverished regions of our nation. We have not invested enough in the fundamental nature of our humanity. We've become many things other than being human. If you sat here as just a human being, it would be very natural for you that your heart beats for everything around you. But now you become so many things, starting from gender, language, culture, religion, race, ethnicity. In many ways we have identified ourselves. Because of these identities, all these identities give you a certain sense that you can undermine your humanity. You cannot undermine your humanity if you did not have these identities or if you did not give it too much priority. All of us have those identities at a certain level. Cultural identities are there, language identities are there, but they are not fundamental to us. Our fundamental nature is that we are life. If you sat here as life, you would reverberate with every life. Nobody had to tell you, you would be that way. But that has not happened. That is because we are a moral country. We've never had codes of morality in this nation. We have always managed populations because in every generation, they were enlightened beings, hundreds of them. And so we managed human consciousness in a certain way. By making people conscious, we manage situations in a beautiful way. Wherever those people did not come or not enough were there anarchy happened, chaos happened, because we have never had a set of morality. Because morality makes you act, but doesn't transform you. For example, I'm sorry, I'm not commenting on the theme of the club. For example, the word service, leaving the theme of this. See, it's like this. If you… let's say there is a child starved out on the street. If you pick up the child and feed this child and take care of this child, you think it is service. But if you pick up your own child and do that, you don't think it is service. What is the difference, I'm asking? For one, your heart is beating, for the other, it is not. So the barrenness of heart is the basis of all this. We are always trying to do good. You don't have to do any good. You just have to become a full-fledged human being. A full-fledged human being means a natural conscious response to everything. And what best you could do. And that's all a man can do. That you are at your best always to everybody and everything. Are you doing the greatest? Maybe not, but I'm doing my best. If every human being does their best in every sphere of life, with every life that they come in touch with, something will happen. But above all, this is a more large-scale problem, that there is lack of planning, lack of policy, lack of corrections, and irresponsible population explosion. In 1947, we were only 33 crores. Today we are 120 crores or 25 crores. 4 times over in 70 years is irresponsible reproduction. This is not because we have over-reproduced, we must understand this. In 1947, the average life expectancy of an Indian was only 28 years. Today we are reaching somewhere 63, 64, which is a great achievement. We should further push it. But on an average, a woman used to go into pregnancy when she was 14, 15 or 16. Today we've pushed it to something like 19, 20 is the average when they're getting pregnant. So by the time she's 65 or 70, there are 4 generations behind her, or 3 generations behind her and 1 or 2 generations ahead of her. That means right now in many families there are 5 generations living. This is not good. This is very brutal what I'm saying, I know. But at any time, there is space only for 3 generations. Your parents, yourself and your children. There can't be 5 generations living. That's what is happening right now in this country and in many other places, especially in this country. 5 generations are living, so there is no space. Once there is such a load, people will keep their humanity in the attic and go about brutally. That child who comes and knocks on your traffic space, I would cry at one time. Now I'm trying to look down, because every time I don't have money to pull out, most of the time I don't have, I have to ask the driver who's driving, please give me some money. So I try to look down. So you're trying to put down your humanity for some time, but it would be natural for me to pull out whatever I have and give it to him. But now you can't do it because it's everywhere. It's too much of a problem for you to address individually. Wherever you can do, whatever you can do, you do, but you're not able to address everything. Slowly you try to insulate your humanity. This is what is happening. It is not that people have become brutal, it's not that people have become inhuman, because the problem is so pervasive, you're not able to address it.
Has hate increased after Trump? Has hate increased after Trump?
It is not increased, it is just that it's little emboldened. It's not increased. I spent substantial time in United States, in and out. It was always there. Now it is finding expression. But I think that's a temporary upsurge, I think it'll control itself. Law enforcement will take charge after some time, they'll pick up a few people, handle that. But hate crimes have been happening all the time in America.
Has Europe invited trouble on itself? You know, it's opened the doors, there's been a lot of immigration.
They have not opened doors, they've closed all the doors, they've built fences.
Now they are.
They're just not allowing the media near the fences anymore. Or media also is part of it, they don't go near the fences, they only shoot the open spaces. Their cameras don't pick up the fences. Most nations have put up barbed wire fences wherever the migrants could come and they've stopped, all right? You can't blame them either, because they're coming in millions. If millions of new people come with a completely different culture, a religion which they will not compromise, and they will not fit into your society, they will try to create their own society, local people will feel insecure. See, it is a multi-headed problem, it's not a simple problem. So this is why I'm saying for all these Azadi groups also, the moment you break the fabric of any nation, it doesn't matter how fragile, how ramshackle it is, the moment you break it, what comes out of it is such a thing that you cannot control it. See, if you had not bombed out these nations, if you had not bombed out Iraq, Syria, Libya, Afghanistan, wherever, if you had not done that, if you had negotiated and settled those problems to whatever extent, you can't fix all the problems, at least you could have contained the problems. If you had done that, these people would not be moving to Europe. Somehow they would continue to live because nobody wants to leave their place of birth and their parentage and everything just for nothing. When it becomes terrible, they want to go. But once the momentum starts, the things that I've seen in Europe, I cannot utter here, it's terrible. What these migrants are doing to themselves to earn just one meal is too horrible. The women are all on the streets, all kinds of people with children and everything, they're on the streets selling themselves because there is no other way to make a living. These are all people who lived reasonably well. Reasonably well means maybe not in the same level of economic well-being as the Western Europe, but they lived with some dignity, with some pride in their own lands. I drove from Beirut to Damascus to the Iraqi border, I just drove myself through the desert and fantastic country it was just 7 years ago, really nice country. Particularly this city, Aleppo city, which is an 8,000-year-old city, this city was built on taxes levied on Indian traders. So you must assume, what is the level of trade that was happening between India and Damascus and Jerusalem was such, just by the taxes that the Indian traders paid, they built a city, a living city, 8,000 years old, one of the most beautiful cities, if you ask me. Today when I see on the news channels Aleppo, it's… what is it? Is this a solution for anybody? So, you may have whatever, people earn Nobel Peace Prizes, but this is the kind of solutions they offer to the world. There was no need to do these things, there was a way to negotiate because of the simplistic, moralistic attitude that you have, that this is a good guy, this is a bad guy. This is basic stuff, good guy, bad guy business. And millions of people, over 1 million are dead, over 10 to 15 million are homeless. Nobody is counting these numbers really properly. But what's happened to Aleppo when I see on the screens, I can't believe it. This is a city that I enjoyed so much just 7 years ago. And the people were so wonderful.
I'm not quite sure, you quickly passed through my question when I asked you about what happening in America, and you glanced it through and you said that it's a temporary phenomenon.
No, I'm saying
Sadhguru,
nothing has changed as the news channels are trying to project. Suddenly America has changed, become a cauldron of hate. It's not true. Generally, there is a racial discrimination in the country. All of us face it somewhere or the other, especially me. I've not been shot at yet, but people have given me daggers. And so many things happen there, we just say, okay, this is how this country is and go on. America has the most beautiful aspects of life also, and very extremely negative aspects also, because this is that kind of a melting pot, all kinds of people. Now those people, some of those people are feeling emboldened and they think they can act. But I'm telling you, they were acting even before. How many hate crimes have happened? Recently, in the last 1-2 years, you must have seen all these black people being shot in many places, they put it on the Facebook Live and all that stuff. But this has been happening all the time. Suddenly, because of the Facebook, you think it's happening. No, it's been happening all the time, now the world knows. Otherwise, the people who live there, they always know this happens all the time. Just look back at the statistics. Let's say in 2016, 2015, how many Indians, how many blacks, how many Hispanics have been killed? I don't think the numbers have changed. The reporting has changed.
You're blaming the media for that.
I'm not blaming the media.
You're not blaming Trump. You're not blaming Trump, but you're blaming the media for that. I think Trump has emboldened us.
I'm saying, yes, definitely his presence has emboldened them. But I'm saying, Nobody needs to embolden them, they've been always doing it.
Yeah.
Maybe now they're uttering the words. They're not afraid of uttering the words because they think at the highest office there is support.
Sadhguru, now let's look at a few issues that you've raised in the last 3 minutes. You say that, there must be a better solution, there must be no confrontation. Non-violence is not always the answer,
No,
I would argue.
yes.
It's okay to say, it doesn't deliver results.
No.
In your view, can non-violence be an answer, for example, to jihadi terrorism?
Not at all.
So, if not so, then what I would like you to tell this audience is, dealing with one of the greatest individual constructs of problems in the world today, which is jihadi terrorism, in your view, Sadhguru, what is the direct antidote to jihadi terrorism? An immediate and quick solution to it.
What is the direct antidote? That's what I'm doing, that's my work. But quick solution, I don't have one. There's no quick solution. Individual transformation is the only solution, but that's not a quick solution, but a lasting solution.
What is the solution to it? Let me rephrase that. What is the solution?
I'm saying…
How do you deal with it? If you were a world leader,
What?
Sadhguru, which you are in your own way, but if you were a political leader facing the problem of jihadi terrorism, what would you do to take it on?
See, we must understand this, though nobody wants to spell it out, nobody wants to say it. It is written not in one, in many religious books across the world, it is written clearly, those who are not like you deserve to be killed. Let's come to the point. I know, this may bring things upon myself, but it's okay. Not in any one book, in many books it is written clearly. Those who do not believe the same things that I believe must die, they are fit to die, they are unfit to live here. This is clearly there. So because people are claiming it is the word of God, they don't have the courage to amend the book. It is time that you take sensible part of people who believe in these books and say, see, if you edit these 10 pages, your book will become wonderful.